How do you get this vitamin D? Now, I know this looks a little complicated, but bear with me. The key that you need to understand is that it's the 125 dihydroxyvitamin D that's the active form. And it says here that it does come from the kidneys. But in fact, we now know that the rate-limiting step that puts that one hydroxyl group on is not just in the kidneys, it's also in the immune cells. And it can actually put that on and have effective change in your immune cells themselves. So let's talk a little bit about how this happens. So there's basically two ways you can get vitamin D into your diet. You can either eat it through a supplementation, swallow it. You can take pills. It's also found in fish oil, certain types of mushrooms, egg yolks, and also red meat. Or the majority of people get vitamin D into their system from the sun. Why is that? Because ultraviolet B radiation penetrates down deep into the dermis, where this cholesterol derivative is converted into pre-vitamin D3 and then finally into vitamin D. Now, that vitamin D3, after it's produced by the sun, goes to the liver and the 25-hydroxyl gets put onto it. This species here, the 25-hydroxyvitamin D, is what we actually measure in the blood. Whether you get it from diet or whether you get it from the sun, there's two ways of getting it, but this is how we can measure it. And that's how you're going to see it measured and reported in the rest of this presentation, is 25-hydroxyvitamin D. This is kind of like the storage product in your body. It's fat soluble. It is stored in the fat. Then when it's needed, it can either go to the immune system where it's converted into 125-dihydroxyvitamin D, which is the active form, or it can go to the kidney and it can be converted there to 125-dihydroxyvitamin D. Now, the one in the kidney is usually used for metabolism of calcium and phosphorus and things of that nature. But there's a whole other area. In fact, they found many vitamin D receptors in the leukocytes, or the white blood cells, your immune cells in the body. Now, the other thing you ought to know is that this 125-dihydroxyvitamin D, which is the active form, can be inactivated when they put a hydroxyl group, they being the 24-hydroxylase enzyme, can inactivate it by hydroxylating the 24 position. Can also do it here with 25-hydroxy from the kidney as well. So this is the inactive form. There is some evidence, and if you want more information about this, look at COVID-19 Update 83 in our MedCram series, and you'll see that high fructose corn syrup actually can accelerate this inactivation of both the 125-dihydroxyvitamin D and also the 25-hydroxyvitamin D to the inactive form. So that's not to say that other sugars with fructose couldn't do that, but that's what the studies showed that we presented in Update 83. So you may be supplementing, you may be out in the sun, but if you have a diet that's high in high fructose corn syrup, and I'm not talking about fructose from fruits and vegetables, but actually high fructose corn syrup, that is something that can cause problems, and you may not get enough 125-dihydroxyvitamin D. We'll put a link to that video, number 83.